And of course, in light with that particular story that we've just gone through and a whole lot of other stories that we have reported on here on the SABC News channel involving students and the brutal killings of women and children in South Africa, we thought that we should just look at ways on how one can go about defending themselves when they come across such attacks. Let me now just welcome in studio Mark Grobbelaar. Mark is the founder of Women Empowered, a personal protection instructor. He is. Good afternoon to you, Mark. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Palesa.
Now, firstly, just explain to us what you do as a personal protection instructor. What does your job entail?
So, we host programs where we, in corporates and in schools, where we basically run women through a program that allows them to make a choice when they find themselves in a threatening situation. So it's not self-defense as typically understood by a lot of people. Mm-hmm. It's something that's really simple, something that they will never forget, and something that gives them an option in a life.
What's the difference between self-defense and this personal protection?
You see, the reality is self-defense is something that needs to be practiced every day, 2 to 3 hours a day, to basically train your body to react to numerous different situations. If you want to learn to defend yourself, quite frankly, you need to find a martial art, and there's plenty of them out there, and rock up to training and train every day. But not everybody wants to do that. The difference is not everybody wants to go to spend 2-3 hours in a dojo or in a gym every day. So our approach is a little bit different. We believe that by knowing a really simple technique, something that you don't need to practice every day, you have an option. Is it going to solve all situations? Of course not. But it's an option. And it's an option that average Joe and average Sue can quite easily get their head around.
But you make it sound so simple. How simple is it?
It's incredibly simple.
Okay.
You see, the thing is, Palesa, it has to be simple. Otherwise, it's going to basically make it impossible for most people to actually do anything like this. If it was super complicated and you needed to practice every day, it wouldn't work, because you're not going to practice every day. And so, I mean, that realm is, the realm of self-defense is what I call for people that are sort of prepared to invest lots of hours every day training something.
All right, but how do you go about doing it? Because you were telling me off air that you flight, fight and freeze. So talk to us about those.
Okay, so there are only 3 human reactions in a, let's call it a life or death or a stressful situation. They are flight, fight or freeze, quite simply. If the listeners or the viewers can take anything away from today, is the flight option. When something feels wrong, it is wrong, leave. Get out of there. But if you can't leave for whatever reason, there are only 2 things left you can do. You can either fight or you can freeze. In other words, do nothing. Now, fighting, again, as I mentioned earlier, fighting is not really an option unless you're a highly skilled combatant. So I want to take the word fight out, I don't want to replace it with immobilize. Whatever you do to a would-be attacker that doesn't immobilize him has to infuriate him. And I often say when I run my programs, do you want to really infuriate or aggravate someone that's intent on hurting you anyway? No, you don't.
You don't.
So that's, and then obviously freeze is the last option. Freeze is basically when you, but freezing or doing nothing as a choice is very different to doing nothing because you don't know what else to do. I mean, a lot of women say to me, Mark, I would rather submit and let it, whatever happen.
Yeah.
And other women say to me, Mark, I'd rather die than be raped. There's no right or wrong answer. Nobody can say that you're right, you're wrong. The reality is,
it depends on the situation.
It depends on the situation, but also if you don't have the options, how do you make an informed decision?
But you know, when such attacks happened, speaking from experience here, because I was once hijacked at gunpoint, and you just don't know what to do. You've got a panic button in the car. You don't even think about it. The only thing that you think about is your life.
100%.
And you would really do whatever that you asked to do at that particular moment. So it's a bit difficult when you find yourself in that particular situation.
100%, but then again, you need some rules. You need to understand, hijack situation, person wants your car. Your life is not worth a car, a watch, nothing like that. The idea is in those situations, if we go back to the flight or freeze, that in that scenario is try and get out of there. Try and remove yourself from that situation. Get out of the car, and there's various courses and techniques to remove yourself from a car. But in a hijack scenario, you don't want to be getting funny and trying to take guns off people. That's how you get killed. That's how you get hurt.
You don't fight back. All right, so I'm just going to ask my producers to put up this video. I am going to try this in studio. I don't know how difficult it is, but you'll take us through it. Let's just take a look at this and we'll get an explanation.
Punch.
Wow. to us more about that.
So that's my daughter, believe it.
Is that your daughter?
And so basically what happens in the program is through that little exercise or that little demonstration you saw there, it gives you belief. So we teach basically one technique in the course. We teach one technique that can immobilize anybody, irrespective of who they are. And you get belief by punching through a board like that. If you can punch through a board, you need to understand if you strike someone in the throat, you can immobilize them. My daughter did that when she was 11. She now knows she can do something that before that she thought was absolutely impossible. And maybe other women, or not maybe, guaranteed other women that have been through the same program have realized that through a simple technique that you will never forget, that can immobilize anybody in a life or death situation, you have belief. Is it going to solve all scenarios? Of course not. I suppose that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But it's an option, and it gives you that belief that you
Let's talk about those options, like the basics really, where you find yourself, when you find yourself in a situation where you cannot fight back or freeze, but you have to fight. What are the basics in that regard?
So again, if you decide you can't leave and you don't want to do nothing, our philosophy is very simple. There's only one target on the human body that can immobilize anybody all the time, irrespective of who you are and who they are. It's to strike someone in the throat. You hit someone in the throat, they stop breathing. When someone stops breathing, you have an option to either get out of that situation or remove yourself from that situation. An option that you didn't have before. And if you believe you can do that, there's an option.
All right. So just before we do that demonstration, really, I just want to go back to what really motivated you to get into this particular program, because there's a story behind this that I know, but I would love you to share that story with our viewers.
So I don't know if you remember 25 odd years ago, a young lady by the name of Alison was abducted outside her home by two men. They brutally raped her, slit her throat numerous times, stabbed her about 50 times in the lower abdomen, and they left her to die on a little dirt road in Port Elizabeth. Miraculously, she got up, she crawled to the road with her entrails in her hand, and she's alive and she's well, and she's a friend of mine. And I met Alison in London prior to this attack, and I wrote a thesis for my 5th day in grading on personal protection for women. And I sent Alison a copy, and she phoned me and said, Mark, if I'd done that, what happened to me would never have happened. And that's when the proverbial ball started rolling. And seven odd years ago, I left a full-time career and started Women Empowered as a full-going concern, and close to 7,000 women have gone through the program, including...
And what has the response been?
100% positive. Yeah. We haven't had one negative story. And I suppose for us, what really put us on the map was when Miss South Africa 2017 and ultimately Miss Universe Demi Lee, she was in an attempted hijacking 2 weeks after she was crowned Miss South Africa here in Johannesburg, and basically said the training and the information that you got through the course basically saved her life.
All right, so I'm just going to ask my cameras to get ready now, because we are about to do that demonstration. I want you to show me how to go about doing it. What's the best way of defending yourself when you find yourself in that awkward position? All right, so let's do it.
So I want you to stand. We call it the zero position. So I want you to stand in front of me with your hips at 45 degrees. I want you to put this hand on your side. You're right-handed, eh?
Yeah, I'm right-handed.
Make a fist for me with your right hand. And I want you to put that hand over the top of it. Now, how threatening does that look? I mean, if you drop your shoulders, otherwise sometimes we sort of look like we want to kill something. But that is a very natural position for a woman to stand in. And my question to you is, could you get close to me standing like that? Would you feel like you could approach me like that? Now, me as a man, I'm thinking, why wouldn't I let a woman come and stand close? Now, what's basically happened is you've decided that I'm threatening you, your life's in danger. I'm going to highlight that you've decided. Not me. You've decided your life's in danger. And the key thing is, you don't think I'm going to let you leave this space. So in other words, you've only got two things left you can do. You can either fight or immobilize, or you can do nothing. And you've decided you don't want to do nothing, so you want to immobilize. So that is what we call the zero position. All right? Now, all from there, when I say hero, I want you to turn your hips and shoulders. I want you to punch, turn your fist, and pull this hand back, and just stay there for me. Do that. Zero, so hero, punch. I'll turn that wrist forward. Do you see what you're doing? Going back a little bit. I want you to go back to that position again. Zero. Almost like you're just reaching for something. Hero. Zero. Hero. That's it. And again, I want you to turn your hips and shoulders. What you're going, you're just standing still. Turn the hips.
Okay.
From there, turn the hips, extend the arm. 0, that's it.
Okay.
Should we try that?
Okay.
Okay.
So am I going to hit that plank? Oh, my word.
You're not going to hit the plank. So the key here, Palesa, the key here is you need to go through the board. Okay. So there's a little concept, and again, you must understand, and for the viewers out there, what we're doing is we're cramming a whole bunch of stuff. So that's a real thing. This is a real
thing. Peter, I think you must just be on standby. I might not be able to go on the show after this.
What the key is, what you're going to do is you're not going to hit the board, you're going to go through the board. You're going to go through the board to a little spot over here, which we call the focus point. So you don't hit the board, you go right through the board and turn that fist. So do for me again. I want you to put this on. The reason why we use this little pad is that obviously Pelesa's hands are not they're not weapons quite yet, and I'm yet. I'm sure you put a bit of cream and everything on. So drop it. Remember, that's the 0 position. Okay. So I want you to just punch again for me. 0, here. As far, remember, I want you to go here to that spot, and I'm going to put the board in front of you. But look what's happening. I want you to. There we go. Do it again for me. Hips and shoulders, turn and punch. Yes, okay.
Is it better?
That's much better.
All right.
There's always room for improvement, but so I'm going to hold the board. When I say here, I don't want you to hit the board. I want you to go through the board. Let's go for me.
Wait, okay, let me get ready. Okay, here we are.
0. You didn't even wait for me. Now, basically what happened, then you can see there's a proper piece. What happens there, you need to understand that this board is harder than anybody's throat. Yeah. And if you can break this, you can break this. And if you can break this, you can immobilize anybody. And if you can immobilize anybody, you have an option that you never had before.
All right.
It's like having a loaded gun. Is it going to solve all problems? Of course not. But it's an option. It's an option. Let me ask you something, Palesa. Do you think you will forget the day you broke a board?
I will never.
You won't.
Listen, never in my life again.
You won't forget. And you won't forget how you did it. And that alone is what gives us power. It's not something that you train and then you stop training and then you forget about it.
It's something that's
if you never do a single punch in your whole life again, you'll remember this day.
I am definitely taking it with. So how do our viewers get in touch with you?
So I'm across all social media platforms. The website is www.empowered, so India November, powered, Powered. All our contact details there. But on Facebook under Women Empowered, Twitter, the whole
all right,
range.
so you do offer these programs in Johannesburg?
We do. We're all around the country. We work, as I said, predominantly with schools and corporates. But if you get a group together, we'll come to your home. I know on Thursday night I'm doing a group for a family in Pretoria of 6 people, mum, daughter. Yeah. So
and I believe that your services are much more in demand now with the scourge of violence that's happening with women.
It's actually very unfortunate, but for us, Women's Month this year was a very quiet month. But as I'm sure you're well aware, our recent Women's Month was one of the most bloodiest we've had in a long time.
It has.
And with the very public murder and rape of Uyinene, and now again this young lady.
Limpopo,
and as I said to you off air, when's it going to stop?
Yeah. So your quick tips or advice to students, more so those who stay off campus, who have to travel to campus at night, to libraries and study areas. How could they best take care of themselves?
I want to highlight one thing. We call it the triangle of jeopardy. You see, 3 things need to be present for a crime to take place. I need to have intent, I need to have ability, and I need to have opportunity. Now, you don't really know my intent, do you? Nobody really knows anybody's intent, so don't take it for granted. I want to go to Uyinene's story and explain how, had she known this, perhaps she'd be alive. So clearly that man had intent. He wanted to. Yeah. Did he have ability? Of course he did.
He did.
When she arrived at the post office at 4:30 and there was no one there, opportunity. So in any situation, you've got to ask yourself, I don't know that person, I don't know their intent.
I wouldn't know.
Exactly.
But is there an opportunity?
Does he have the ability to hurt me? Of course he does. Don't put yourself in a position, or don't be allowed to put in a position where they have the opportunity. And straight away, when 2 of those things are present, when you have opportunity and you have ability and you don't know intent, that is a potentially dangerous situation and you need to try and remove yourself.
Mark, time constraints. We have to leave it at this, but thank you so much for coming
very much.
through.
Don't you want to hang on?
Thank you so much for making my year. So now everyone can see that.
Thanks,
Peter.
You're a